Hello, I'm a member of the Youth Cultural Group. I would like to introduce 서대문 Prison History Hall, which is operated as a museum to learn the painful history of our country during the Japanese colonial period. Let's take a look at the history of 서대문 Prison. 서대문 Prison was opened as Gyeongseong Prison on October 21st, 1908 by Japanese colonial rule at the end of the Korean Empire. 서대문 Prison is the historical site of the independence movement and the democratic movement, where numerous independence activists were imprisoned for independence and democratization of their country. After the Seoul Detention Center was moved to Ilwangsi, Gyeonggi-do, in November 1987, other facilities were demolished except for the Administration and Security Office, prison buildings 9 to 12, Labor Building, Lepers Building, and Execution Building, considering their historic nature and values. Later, 서대문구 opened the prison as 서대문 Prison History Hall on November 5th, 1998 to preserve the site and make it a historical lesson. Let's find out the significance of 서대문 Prison. The first floor of the 서대문 Prison History Hall is the Prison History Room, which mainly displays the history of the prison. The first floor of Exhibition Hall has a Prison History Room, which focuses on the history of the prison, and the second floor is divided into 3 rooms, focusing on independence activists and their activities. 서대문 Prison was the largest modern prison in the country at the time of its opening by the Japanese colonial rule at the end of the Korean Empire. It was built to stop and suppress Koreans who fought to restore national power. During the Japanese colonial period, many independence activists were imprisoned and killed as a place of oppression and punishment for the Korean people, and after their liberation, many democratization activities were imprisoned and suffered by the dictatorship. The address of this place is 101 현저동, 서대문구, Seoul, and in the late Joseon Dynasty, Iju, a large road to Iju in the north, was mainly a transportation road. So there were Yeongunmun Gate and Mohagwan, which welcomed Chinese envoys, and in 1897, the current Independence Gate was built. The Japanese colonial rule built Gyeongseong Prison on the site of the Independence Gate and Independence Hall, which contains the will of an independent nation, and forced Koreans who came and went to obey the absolute colonial power and used it as a tool of colonial rule for monitoring and control. Let's take a look at the Women's Prison Building, one of the buildings in 서대문 Prison. The Women's Prison Building was established around 1918 for imprisoning convicted women prisoners. Numerous women who participated in the independence movement across the country were imprisoned here, and this building was used even after liberation, but was demolished in 1979. When the Seoul Detention Center moved to Gyeonggi-do in 1987, the Women's Prison Building site and underground space were excavated and restored, and in 1992, a protective pavilion was installed. After that, the original design drawing was discovered in 2009, and the Women's Prison Building was restored to its original form in 2011. Women under the Japanese colonial rule were forced to lead a dual inhuman life due to ethnic and gender discrimination, and thus pursued women's liberation through the independence movement. The women independence activists imprisoned in 서대문 Prison were not special people, but ordinary women from all walks of life. Among those imprisoned in the women's prison building, all of you must have heard the name of Yu Guan-sun. In 1919, Yu Guan-sun, who was attending Ihwa School, participated in the March 1st movement. When schools were closed due to the March 1st movement, they went down to their hometown of Pyeongchon-myeon, Cheonan, and held a demonstration for national independence with their families. In the end, she lost her parents and was arrested and sentenced to 3 years in Gongju prison, and then transferred to and was imprisoned at Seodaemun prison. Yu Guan-sun, who did not give up even here, led the national independence movement in prison to commemorate the first anniversary of the March 1st movement in 1920, but was killed by Japan's harsh torture. Number 8 cell of the women's prison building is a cell where many female independence activists, including Yu Guan-sun, were imprisoned. Yu Guan-sun contacted the entire female cell through code and conducted a prison struggle for the first anniversary of the March 1st movement. In this prison struggle, Yu Guan-sun was severely beaten by a guard, bruised all over her body, especially her face, and even her eyes were bloodshot. This situation is also evident through a picture of Yu Guan-sun's prison records taken in mid-March 1920. Seodaemun Prison History Hall is operated as a place that offers lessons of history and remembering the faith of independence movement activists and pro-democracy activists toward freedom and peace. Thanks for watching.